So would you say that climate action does slow down during war?
It is. People have shifted to alternates from oil importing countries. Now they're moving to coal. That's worst. It's going to do more damage.
And who would you say is the most impacted from this situation?
Common man, farmers, the middle class, lower middle class. People who are poor, they will suffer more. When your pockets are limited, how will you face the inflation? How will you feed your children?
Hello and welcome to another episode on the Green TV. I am Shruti Seetharaman, your host for today's episode, content creator, sustainability advocate, and truly believes that everything that we're trying to do should be about living a more sustainable and greener future. And in conversation with me is Dr. Seetharaman, who is a global leading voice in banking, has practiced green banking throughout his career, and has also been a sustainability advocate throughout, and really believes that we should be talking and making conversation about the things that we can do to break down the concepts of sustainability so that you have a better future for tomorrow. Okay, so in part one, this is part two. In part one, we talked a little bit about, not a little bit, we talked about the immediate consequences of the current war situation that's happening, right?
True.
Israel, America,
Yeah.
And what the impact is. We did talk a little bit about the future consequences of it. So now what we're going to dwell into is a lot more into that future and what it looks like and how it's going to affect things for us and for the viewers to try and understand what that means in terms of the economy and the market being affected.
True.
The first question I'm going to ask you is, when the war stops, what are going to be the consequences for the market or the economy? Like, what can we expect?
See, the impact will be there for depending upon the duration of the war. The cessation of even truce, time and again. I'm not seeing a conclusion here. Now 50 days have gone. Now, the consequential impact to reconstruct the ecosystems in terms of economics, in terms of environment, in terms of reconstructing the physical, right? Damaged airport, seaport, road, rail, civilian structures is very important. And we also have consequential impact in terms of society. Schools have to be restored. Social displacement has taken place. People have left the country and gone to different parts of the world. They have to come back and start their life fresh, or they have to seek asylum in different part of the world. The damage control is, and the consequential impact in terms of cost and the growth momentum is a bigger exercise. If you look at the global governance, the World Bank or IMF, they're all looking at the current prospects in terms of growth, downward revision from inflation control, interest rate reduction to now there is a possibility of interest rate hike because the inflation is moving up, right? That's also happening. On the fiscal side, the government expenditure is more, deficit is also going to widen. Currencies, certain part of the world is under deceleration. Currencies are weakening. Fuel inflation is happening. Consequential impact is the financial markets are highly volatile. It's a gambling ground today. Anyone can speculate. People hit and run and they go to commodities as safe havens. So damage is colossal in substance.
And most of what you spoke about now was the financial impact, right? But what about, could you maybe for some of our viewers who are watching in terms of immediate risk, in terms of climate, everyday life, could you maybe list out some of the things that are going to have long-term impact, like air, water,
Now, all sort of segments, if you look at air pollution, it will have medium-term impact. Not only short-term, medium-term, you have to put things in order. Now, public transport is stopped in many parts of the countries now.
Yeah.
People are operating from remote. Hybrid model they're getting in. Because you don't want to overdo the fuel consumption, right? So air travel is reduced also. These industries are also impacted in substance. When it comes to civil water structure has been damaged in many parts of the Gulf. And water contamination is another aspect which you have to, you do the major cleaning. Again, sea is contaminated. So the impact to bring back the normalcy, whether it is water, air, land degradation, soil erosion, bioreserves are getting damaged. We coexist with other creatures, right? What will be the fate of these animals?
So what are you trying to say, that the long-term impact is also something that is currently invisible for us to see?
Absolutely. It is cyclical. It has got its dominant impact, I should say, and it will have long-term consequence in substance. That's what I'm saying.
And if we're specifically talking about SDG 13, which is Sustainability Development Goals, how does this affect that particular goal specifically?
While we are worried about the global warming and climate change, we have to reduce the temperature levels to at least between 1.5 to 2% pre-industrial levels. Now, we are not seeing the possibilities now. On the contrary, it will, with more pollution, more rising sea levels, increasing temperature is what the reality is all about. All these contaminations, what will happen? This will pollute more. The infrared rays will be more, and the temperature will not be under control.
Unfortunate. Okay, and I should have asked you this question before I asked you SDG 13, but could you just, for our viewers who are watching, can you just also tell us what the SDG 13 goal is?
Global warming and climate change. How do we moderate it? How do we come to terms to reduce the pollution and clean water, affordable energy? These are all very, very important. Rising sea level, increasing temperature, animal extinction, and ensuring food security. Food security, poverty alleviation, and global warming and climate change are interconnected. Now, healthcare systems are impacted. So it is not only SDG 13. If you look at from SDG 1 to 17, we have impact. That's the consequence of the war.
So would you say that climate action does slow down during war?
It is.
Yeah.
It is slowed down enormously, and the people have shifted to alternates from oil importing countries. Now they're moving to coal. That's worst. More pollution, right? What option you have? You have to keep the livelihood, and you have to make sure that supply chain is not disrupted for fuel. So they resorted now coal. It's going to do more damage in terms of air pollution.
So would you also say that anything that happened in terms of clean energy progress is also now sort of, yes, there's damage, but have we also gone backwards? Has clean energy progress reversed?
See, for immediate consumption, you have to keep moving up in the value chain for normalcy. So you look at solar or wind or biofuel or biomass through net transition. That will be that will be going backward for a while. The immediate priority is to make sure you have a supply of alternate.
Interesting.
So creating an infrastructure for alternate is not easy. That's happening.
Yeah.
We have a targeted approach. We are fulfilling our obligations. India has done extremely well. The rest of the world is also moving towards net zero transition. Some are in 2030, some are 2040, some are 2050 or 60 or 70 even India. But the consequential impact in the current context is you have to again change the goalpost. That's the reality.
And who would you say is the most impacted from this situation?
Common man, farmers.
All of you watching.
Yeah. The middle class, lower middle class, downtrodden, marginal society. Look at the fishermen. People who are poor, they will suffer more. The affluent society will also face, but they have resources to manage, right? When your pockets are limited, how will you face the inflation? How will you feed your children? How do you put food on the table?
Yeah, and that brings me to, because you spoke about, farmers and the common man. The question is also, do you think this is going to lead to climate migration?
It is always the case. We have seen, I've seen 1990 Gulf War, Kuwait invasion, Iraq was in disarray for a decade. And I've seen Iran, before the Iran-Iraq war, and again Iraq war when Saddam regime was uprooted and Americans invaded. That's a different consequential impact. And now we are seeing Ukraine for the last 4 years plus. Life is not normal. We never got an end to it. And we are now, this is the most safest place in the world was Gulf. Economic transformation, political transformation, social transformation, and a huge, supply of world's infrastructure through energy security for many countries. Now, they were also in capital commerce was very much there. It is affluent society, sovereign wealth was invested in multiple countries, multiple pockets. Now everything is at stake. There's so much inflow of investments in the Gulf. Now it is getting challenged, and I hope really we restore peace and prosperity. It's better for the world and better for the Gulf.
And now what we have to talk about are the oceans, because we also do know that there is a water problem that we generally have anyway.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing that I don't think we realize has an impact or a direct consequence of what's happening with the war.
Yeah.
So what about the oceans?
Look at it. Ocean is completely at risk. How much we have to clean it up, because all this, oil, pollution, some of the energy infrastructure impacted, decimated on account of this war. Consequential impact is on the ocean, right? So how do you clean? Animal extinction again. Life on land is one aspect. Life under the water is at stake as well. So let's be compassionate. Let's understand the consequential impact of this. The living creatures under the water will be suffering. So the tragedy to the core.
And I think from today's conversation, I think we're processing, or from at least these couple of things that we've discussed, we realize that everything seems to be connected somehow, and it's
interconnected.
Not just
all the water or air or land, soil degradation. I have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Right. So every part of the nature is being, is getting impacted. That's the worry. Right. War is not healthy at all for humanity. There's no peace on account of the war. There's no peace on account of climate change. Right. The consequential damage is everywhere. Society, humanity, economic, right?
Yeah.
And environment.
And just to wrap it up, I think you've almost answered this question, but what would you want to reiterate is the biggest takeaway from all of this?
Let's love people. Let's understand it's one world. Let's embrace the nature. Let us protect this beautiful planet. Let's understand this gift of God. We are here to love and bring in peace and prosperity. Justice should prevail. Social security should be there. Humanity should endure its values. All are equal. We need to have zero poverty. We have to have social equality, social justice, freedom, and again, universal education, universal health care, food security, clean water, industry, infrastructure, innovation should continue, decent economic living, job, opportunities for downtrodden. And we also have to protect life on land, life under the water, as I mentioned earlier. We have to bring in peace, prosperity, and justice. Affordable energy for everyone.
There's a lot of takeaways, guys.
So all these are interconnected,
Yeah.
and more important is peace and happiness.
And also what you always say, Vasudeva
Kutumbakam is one world, one family. Loka samastas sukhino bhavantu. Sarvojanan sukhino bhavantu. That the whole world, if we understand we are united, peace and prosperity is required, that's the need of the hour.
And I think what I would say is my takeaway from this is that protecting the planet also means protecting peace. It also means exuberating peace. So try and protect the planet, try and have peace, try and, encourage love, and hopefully this is the last of the consequences. Hopefully the war ends soon. That's what we pray and hope for. Hopefully this gave you some insight to understand what the future is going to look like if you are someone who's watching from a country that is part of the war or has the consequential impact of it. And I hope we can have more discussions to try and understand how protecting the planet could actually genuinely mean more peace. So if this did turn something for you in your mind, don't forget to share this with somebody that needs to know what we're living at right now. And don't forget to stay sustainable. Do your little bit. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.
Watch Green TV. We bring you up to date the sustainability news. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.